Order the Public Works Committee meeting for Thursday, July 28th. Roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Enterpont?
Here.
Mr. Barris?
He's here.
He's here somewhere.
Goofing
Mr.
off.
Brame?
Here.
Mr. Collins?
Here.
Mr. Guidry? Mr. Guillory?
Yeah.
Mr. Hunter was unable to attend this evening. President Landry?
Here.
Mr. Latour?
Here.
Ms. Mayo? Here. Mr. McMillan was also unable to attend. Vice Chairman Scott?
Here.
They're coming out of all doors.
Mrs. Trimmy? Here. Mr. White was unable to attend this evening, and Chairman Farnham.
Mr. Guidry's here.
Here.
Thank you. You do have a delivery.
I'm here, Miss Kathy.
Thank you, Kevin.
Item number 3 is an appearance by Mr. Larry Ratter, candidate for 3rd Congressional District. State your name and address for the record, please.
Larry Rader, 214 Counter Drive, New Iberia, Louisiana. Good afternoon, everyone. Indeed, it's a pleasure to be here this afternoon with you. It's good to be back in Calcasieu. I haven't been here in quite some time, traveling back and forth throughout the district. I am a candidate for the 3rd Congressional District for Congress, and as many of you know that when Bustani decided to step up to the Senate seat, it opened that particular seat up. And so I'm one of the candidates that decided to put his name on the dotted line and run for his seat. I'm a Democrat from a small town, small community of Jeanerette, Louisiana, which is about 12 miles east of New Iberia, if you're familiar where New Iberia is. Attended school there. I joined the military, Vietnam-era veteran, was in the Air Force, got out the Air Force, attended the University of Maryland, and as well as USL. I call it University of Slow Learning once I got back. But nonetheless, from there, I ended up working offshore. I worked offshore for a Shell Oil company for about 8 years in the oil industry. And then I got this thought in my mind that, you know what, this is just not quite for me. Tired of missing the family on holidays. So went into business for myself. In 1988, I went into business for myself, a retail clothing store. Owned 2 of those, stayed in doing that for about, I guess I did that for about 12 years, and then decided to go into the insurance business. And that's what I'm currently doing at this moment. I'm heavily invested in insurance and as well as real estate throughout the Acadiana area. A little bit about myself, other than that, president for the Port of Iberia. I'm also chairman for Iberia Parish Democratic Executive Committee. I'm a vice president for the Kiwanis Club, and I'm probably leave something out because I can't seem to keep up with all the stuff that I'm doing. And now I'm running for this seat. So, you know, my agenda is more on working with people and helping people. I've given each one of you a little push card, a poem card, as well as a business card. And certainly, you know, it's kind of self-explanatory of who I am and what I'm about. If you have any questions or concerns after you look at my agenda, feel free to call me. My cell number's on there. You know, give me a call. We sit down and talk. I don't want to take up a whole lot of your time. I'm sure you guys got some other things going on, and I can talk for a very long time if you leave me up here. So listen, once again, I just want to thank you for allowing me to be here. And if you have any questions for me,
We do, Mr. Anderpont.
Thank
Yes,
you,
sir.
Mr. Chairman. First of all, thank you for running.
Thank you.
I admire you for wanting to do that.
yes, sir.
Let me tell you what my pet peeve is with
All right.
Congress as we speak, okay? I don't think they do enough for the veterans. That's the first thing. The second thing that I have that the burr under my saddle is that when you have 1 out of every 5 children go to bed hungry at night, that is unacceptable in my opinion in this country.
I agree.
I think we need to focus less on foreign aid to these countries who do not like us and focus mainly on the people here in this country first. And then if there's any leftover, which I don't think it would be, then we focus on that part. But I just want to let you know where I'm coming from, and I hope you.
That's an interesting comment that you made, and it's a good comment.
And I'm serious. I
Because
really am.
I am as well. A part of my agenda, especially when it comes to veterans, is 50% of the suicides that's committed are committed by veterans. And that's an astonishing number. That's a high number. We have a lot of veterans that are homeless. So one of the things that I would like to see Congress get involved in is that these veterans are able to receive counseling. That's number one. A lot of the incidents that occurred recently in some of our cities were done by veterans, PTSD. They're not receiving the counseling as quickly as they should. The other thing is to try to solve the homeless problem that they have. No veteran should be homeless, not a single one. I think we owe it to them. I think they've served our country. I think if it would not have been for veterans, we wouldn't have this opportunity to sit
You
here.
included.
And yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so that's one of the things I'd like to do. Maybe kind of work with certain individuals in the community to purchase abandoned buildings, get grants, work those buildings over, provide a place for that veteran to stay, and also provide him with the counseling and the help he needs, sort of work with the different businesses within that community to try to make sure he's got a job, and sort of just coach him back into civilian life where he's a productive citizen, going to work every day and paying taxes, you know. And as far as the younger people without any income, not enough income in order to, I'm for equal pay for equal work, and I'm also, I believe in raising the minimum wage. I'm not going to say where, but it needs to be raised. It's very hard for a single mother working out, a job in our society for $1,200 a month and paying her bills, paying her electric bills, paying her rent, paying a car note, paying her car insurance. It's very difficult off of $1,200 a month. So it needs to be increased. So I'm with you there, you know.
I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Guillory.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Mr. Ray, I just want to say congratulations and hip win. We'd like to see you keep Lake Charles as one of the sites of office down here.
Sure. That would be no problem with that. That's definitely in the plans, to keep an office located here in Lake Charles.
Thank you, Mr.
You're
Ray.
welcome. You're so much welcome on that.
Any other questions? We thank you for being here, and good luck with your race.
Well, thank y'all. Appreciate it. Hopefully, this won't be our last time seeing one another. Thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Ray. Thank you.
We'll move to item 4, appearance by Mr. Peter Williams, candidate for U.S. Senate.
No show.
Don't see him. We will move to item 5. Consideration of making a recommendation with reference to adopting a resolution approving an amendment and
Move on
extension to the
5.
solid
Second.
waste contract between the Police Jury and Waste Management of Louisiana, LLC, for solid waste collection and disposal in the unincorporated areas in wards 2 through 8, both inclusive, beginning January 2017. We have a motion by Mr. Anderpont, second by Mr. Guidry. Do we have any discussion on this item? Ms. Beverly's here. Would you like to make any comments?
We'd just like to thank you for your consideration of this. We appreciate
If you
Come up to the.
come up here to the podium, please.
Beverly don't want to do that.
We wanted to see you though, Ms. Beth.
We wouldn't let you do that.
Really, we just wanted to thank you for your consideration of this amendment, and we're here if you have any questions regarding anything. We've certainly enjoyed our providing service to Calcasieu Parish, and it's been a very big pleasure to us to provide that service. And I hope it's been good for Calcasieu Parish as well. And I have Warren Guidry here with me. He is working with us on our municipal contracts, and he's been with Waste Management for 27 years, so he's here to answer any questions you guys might have also.
Ms. Trimmy.
I don't have a question. I just want to say thank you for the good hard work and the people that you hire, the people that are on the trucks, that are doing the yeoman work. They do it every day, but they don't leave anything behind. In other words, if they have to go a little further to pick it up, they didn't quite put it where it was supposed to be, they're going to make that extra effort. And they're always courteous and always wanting to help others. And we really appreciate our people. I don't get any complaints. Because if something's going wrong, you're going to get a call. And I have had none. So thank you for your hard work.
Well, thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
We try, Miss Sandy, we really do try to hire the right people and train them the right way and make sure that everybody's happy, because we don't want you getting any calls, you
That's
know.
the key. Thank you. Thank you, Beverly. Appreciate it. And it's nice to have also met you, Warren, right? I won't say any other thing.
Thank you,
but
ma'am.
Warren, I will tell
Tell
you,
my
he did
nickname,
tell me
so I'm
he's
sorry.
one of 10 children. So he knows how to fight and play.
Mr. Guillory.
Just want to say, myself, and I know the jury, just want to send prayers out to Frank for everything.
Oh,
And send our prayers out to Frank.
thank you very much.
Something like happened like Brian, just want to send out prayers.
Thank you very much. He's.
President Landry.
Thank you, Chairman Farnham. Just real quick, this service has been absolutely great. In fact, talk about complaints, I really don't even remember the last time. It's been years. I mean, it's probably been 3 years, which that's amazing. And probably if we go back 15 or, years or so, I mean, yeah, there were times that were challenging, but it's been a long time. I mean, and this service has been great, and I couldn't imagine us doing anything any different than what we're doing here tonight. So we appreciate y'all, we really do.
Thank you. We
Thank y'all.
appreciate y'all too.
Mr. Guidry.
Thank you, Mr. President. Bev, we can't, I just want to echo a little bit of what Mr. Landry, President Landry said, is that, I can't think when I've even had a complaint to where I've called you guys. But I think it's incumbent upon all of us, for all 15 districts, to know that the service is outstanding. It's not just in certain areas, but I think we all can say that the service that you guys have provided for us has been throughout all 15 districts. And that says a lot for you guys as an organization, Ms. Bev. So, again, we thank you for the service that you've provided for us for those years.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mr. Brain.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Of course, I'm going to echo what they said, but also Dominique has done a outstanding job. He is, he's my go-to guy when I call. So anytime I need something, all he does is just if I have to replace a trash can or whatever for a constituent, it's like that. So what I was going to suggest is, and I could call him myself, but I'm sure you'll see him. If he could come to the meeting, or just, come in the back so everybody can meet him. I know there's some jurors up here that don't know Dominique, but he has done an outstanding job for me, and I know for everybody else. So if you can make that happen.
I will.
We appreciate too, and that's important for people to recognize our employees from that standpoint. We do give them rewards based on the good comments that we get back from our customers, so we definitely going to put his name in for us.
He does an outstanding, he doesn't hesitate. And
It must be good for Brame to say something about it.
Well, I give him some tasks that I know, hey, he's probably like, there's Guy again, but, he takes care of it, so just wanted to mention that. I appreciate it.
Well, we will certainly.
It'd be good for him
let
to come
know.
up and meet everybody,
Yeah.
you know?
We'll make sure that happens.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Scott.
Yeah, Dominique does a wonderful job for y'all. I just want to compliment you on your equipment that is on the streets, keeping the hydraulic fluid in the trucks and, it's nice, clean equipment, and that matters to our roads, it matters to our environment. And so one of the questions I'd ask, do we have any plans in the near future, or even in the far future, of going to cleaner fuels like you've done in some other bigger cities? Are y'all going to start transitioning to that on the trucks?
They're currently doing a transition in Baton Rouge. It's almost complete.
It has
I think
45 trucks there.
Yeah. So I don't know where Lake Charles is on the list because we're talking about a national company here. So I'm not exactly sure where we are on the list, but eventually Waste Management wants to have all of their trucks transferred to CNG trucks.
All right, well, thank you, and like I said,
2020 as a goal, by 2020, to have 80% of our trucks to CNG fuels. So either CNG fuels or LNG fuels. We do have some areas where we actually recover the landfill gases and create a liquefied natural gas out of it and use it in our vehicles. California's one of them, so.
all right, well, thank you for that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Barris.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To speak to the personality, your personnel, and it's to give you a prime example. I know these folks work on holidays, some days, and my kids go out every year, and they have cookies and stuff, and they give it to the guys. And they're always, you know, they're so cordial, and they're good people. So I hope that's a cross-section of your whole staff, but thank you.
I think it's a cross-section of Beverly. She does a great job.
I agree.
I don't need to be here.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Well, my little secret is, I'm kind of like a mama over there, you know, I kind of watch everything, and I'm looking around, and I've been there so long, so when I go to one of we have daily huddles in the morning, and when we have a huddle with the drivers and I'm attending it, I tell the drivers, pretend it's your mother's house. Wherever you're servicing trash, pretend that's your mother's house. How would you want someone else to treat your mother's trash in her trash can? And that's all you have to remember, and you'll do a great job.
That's a good way to put it. Well put. That was a good way, Bill.
Yeah, I'd also like to echo the sentiments. I've been around for about 9 years now, and I can count the calls probably on one hand that I've had. And most of them were situations that were outside of what's in y'all's contract. And y'all didn't hesitate. You came and picked up huge piles of trash when you really didn't have to. And you've gone that extra mile to make sure that everybody's satisfied in this area. So we really appreciate the job y'all have done.
Well, thank you. We live here, too. We want it to look pretty.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know what that noise in the background just was, but
Can only imagine what that was.
Ancient phone.
We need a sergeant at arms.
Like money.
we had a motion and a second on that item by Mr. Anderpont, Mr. Guidry. Any further discussion? Any objection? That motion will carry. Number 6, consideration of making a recommendation with reference to adopting a resolution approving active sale agreements for the purchase of property for the Tank Farm Road Site Distance Project in Ward 3. We have a motion by Mr. Brame, second by Mr. Barris. Any discussion on this item? Any objection? Hearing none, motion carries. Item 7, consideration of
Move to
making a
adopt the
recommendation
resolution.
with reference to adopting a resolution approving an active sale agreement for the Metzger Road Bridge Project in Ward 8. Motion by Mr. Latour, second by Ms. Mayo. Any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, that motion will carry. Item 8,
Move on 8.
consideration of making a recommendation with reference to adopting a resolution approving expropriation of property for the Coach Williams Drive Extension Project in Ward 4. We had a motion by Mr. Anderpont, second by Mr. Latour. Any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, that motion will carry. Item 9, consideration of making a recommendation with reference to adopting a resolution approving active sale agreements for the purchase of property for the Coach Williams Drive Extension Project in Ward 4. I had a motion by Ms. Trimmy and second by Mr. Latour. Any discussion on this one? Any objection? That motion will carry. Item 10, consideration of making a recommendation with reference to adopting a resolution approving an active sale agreement for the purchase of property
Second.
along with a utility servitude for the Coach William Drive Extension Project in Ward 4. Motion by Ms. Trimmy and second by Mr. Latour. Discussion. Any objection? That motion will carry.
Did Macmillan come back from California?
He'll let us know when he's back.
He was filming.
Item 11, consideration of making a recommendation with reference to adopting a resolution approving a temporary construction servitude agreement for the Coach Williams Drive Extension Project in Ward 4.
Move on 11. Second.
Motion by President Landry, second by Mr. Guidry. Any discussion? Objection? Hearing none, motion will carry. Item 12, consideration of making a recommendation with reference to adopting
on
a
12.
resolution approving an active sale agreement for the purchase of property for Wright Road Site Distance Triangle Project in Ward 4. Motion by Mr. Anderpont, second by Mr. Collins. Any discussion? Objection? That motion will carry. 13, consideration of making a recommendation with reference to adopting a resolution authorizing the submittal of an application
Move
to
on,
the local
13.
metropolitan planning organization, which allows for the following projects to be eligible for state and federal funds. U.S. Highway 171, Broad Street to South English Bayou Court. And the other one is Louisiana Highway 384, Big Lake Road to McNeese Street. We had a motion by Mr. Bear, second by Mr. Guillory. Discussion on this item. Mr. Brain.
Thank you. I guess Tim, maybe?
Yes, sir.
Okay, 384 Big Lake Road to McNeese Street. That's Country Club Road.
Correct.
What's
Well-
the scope of work?
Currently, there's a stage 0, which is a feasibility study going on right now. But the reason it's in here is that there's a piece of this that's part of our initiative
I remember.
project program. And for any of these projects to be eligible for federal funds, it has to be in that 2040 plan. And so there was a call for projects, and we're just trying to
Okay, perfect.
cover some loose ends and make sure everything's in there. So.
Good deal. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Guillory.
Thanks, Mr. Cohen. Mr. Cohen, it's the same thing for the Broad Street one to South English, same thing on that one?
The 171?
Right.
Right, that's also part of the initiative, and we want to make sure that's in that plan so that it would be eligible for federal funds as well for signalization upgrade.
You can start on that one first.
Okay.
Any other discussion on this item? Any objection? Hearing none, that motion will carry. Item 14, consideration of making a recommendation with reference
Move
to
on, make a
authorizing the
recommendation.
parish engineer to advertise for Calcasieu Parish Project Number 2016-10. Had a motion by Mr. Latour, second by Ms. Mayo. Discussion. Objection. Hearing none, that motion carries. Any other matters for consideration?
Move to adjourn?
We are adjourned.
Just want y'all to know he had the best vice ever.
Huh? Are we ready?
Can't even see.
Oh, yeah, we need to, this is reappointment.
We will now call the agenda committee for Thursday, July the 28th, 2016 to order. Chair will entertain a motion to pull number 15.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second to pull number 15.
Figure out where this shit's at.
And if you'd opposed, I'd have done it anyway. Okay, take appropriate action on the terms of the following members of various boards, districts, and further adopt resolutions approving appointments and reappointments. Mr. Donald D. Coleman, Community Center and Playground District Number 3 of Ward 7. Mr. Barris, deferred for 30 days. What's your pleasure?
I have made an appointment, sir.
Okay, so you want to defer for another 30?
Make an appointment.
I have made a selection.
You have made a
Yes.
selection.
Let us hear it, Mr.
And who might it be?
Mr. James Laird.
James Laird,
Laird.
L-A-I-R-D.
Yeah, Mike.
Correct.
Okay,
Second.
we have a
That's a vote.
motion and a second for Mr. James Laird. Is there any opposition? Duly appointed. Ms. Carrie Vick, Community Center and
I'd like to
Playground
move to
Number
defer
7
for
of
another
Ward
30
2,
days.
District 10, Mr. Latour.
Second.
Deferred for 30 days. Any opposition? Motion carries. Mr. George Eugene Miller, Resignation, Ward 5, Fire Protection District Number 1, Mrs. Trimmy.
Well, it's not effective until August 1st.
I know, but we got to act on it tonight.
Well, I don't have a name for tonight.
You wanna
so
defer
I just
it?
need to,
Yeah.
I mean, we can leave it on and I can have the name for our next regular meeting. Now, can you do that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, then, because I already know the person, but I don't have it all right now.
We'll,
okay?
what we'll do is defer it till the next meeting.
That's perfect, thank you.
Any opposition?
Second.
Mr. George, no, we got that one, huh?
Okay.
C, D, D.
PC?
Mr. Kip Coltrane, resignation, Ward 4, Fire Protection Number 2, District 12, Mr. Barris.
I appoint Cody Clement.
Mr. Barris.
Second.
Cody Clements is who you recommend. Do I have a second?
You do?
We have a motion and a second. Is there any opposition? Any discussion? Motion carries. Mr. David Connor, deceased, Calcasieu Parish Planning and Zoning Board, Ward 3, Precinct 360 and 361. Mr. Landry and Mr. Scott recommend Mr. Kyle Link.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second to
Second.
appoint Mr. Kyle Link. Any discussion? Any Mr. Brame?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, Mr. Kyle Link, David, Dennis and Chris, I talked to them, visited with them about Kyle and Wes and Jennifer and you know, David passed away in January. Maybe it was February, but took a while to come up with an appointment for this, mainly because you know, I felt like that kind of wanted to make David proud in a way that somebody get to sit on there and do a good job. And Kyle's an excellent, he's a fine guy, and so I just wanted to make those comments. I think he'll do a fantastic job. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
You yield back?
I yield back.
Okay. Is any more discussion? Motion carries. Resignation of Mr. Hal McMillan.
Move to appoint Ms. Shelley Mayo.
Planning and Development.
Second.
Who you represent?
Shelley Mayo.
Ms. Mayo. Okay, that's a good one. I like that. A motion is second. Any discussion? Motion carries. Mr. Jeremy Michael Dansby, Gravity Drainage District
Move
Number
to
4,
appoint Mr.
Ward
Mike
3 at
Whitler.
Lawrence.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to appoint Mr. Mike Whitler.
Yes, sir.
Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion carries. Mr. Holland Gilry, Gravity Drainage District
Move to
Number
reappoint
4,
Mr.
Ward
Holland
3,
Gilry.
District 2 and 4. We have a motion to reappoint Mr. Holland Gilry. We have a motion and a second. Is there any opposition?
Okay.
Any discussion? Motion carries, and we do have a point of personal privilege. This time, Mr. President Chris Landry.
I'll wait till the end. Your page is probably split. We still got some,
We got some more to go.
you got about 4 or 5 more.
Oh, we're good?
Yeah.
Oh, that little line down there, Blue.
That's all
Yeah,
right.
they got a lot more.
I've done that more than once, so.
Like you said, we're not started good yet.
We're about run out of letters on this one.
Ms. Bernadette Stevens, Gravity Drainage.
Move to reappoint Ms. Bernadette.
Stephen?
We have a motion and a second to reappoint Mrs. Stevens. Any discussion, any opposition? Motion carries. Mr. Martin T. Benoit, Gravity Drainage District Number 8 of Ward 1, District 1, Mr. White.
I would
Defer.
just leave it on. I'm
We'll
sure
leave it on
the
till
next meeting.
next month. Okay? Mr. Darby Quinn, Gravity Drainage District Number 8, Ward 1, we'll leave that one on. Mr. William D. Laverne, Gravity Drainage District 8, Ward 1, Mr. White, we'll leave that one on also. Mr. Blaine Harrington, Gravity
I'd like to
Drainage-
move to reappoint Mr. Blaine Harrington.
We have a motion and a second to reappoint Mr. Blaine Harrington. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion carries. Mr. Craig Schultz.
I'd like to move to reappoint Mr. Craig Schultz.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to reappoint Mr. Greg Schultz. Do we have any opposition? Any discussion? Motion carries. Mr. Rick Guidry,
I'd
Gravity.
like to move to reappoint Mr. Ricky Guidry.
We have a motion and a second to reappoint Mr. Rick Guidry. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion carries. Mr. Darren Terrio resigned.
I'd like to move to appoint Ms. Beverly Morton.
Second.
We have a motion to appoint Ms. Beverly Martin with a second. We have any discussion? Any opposition? Motion carries. Mr. Larry Mouton.
Move to reappoint Mr. Mouton.
We have a motion by Mr. Barris to reappoint Mr. Mouton. And they have a second, and we do. And is there any discussion or opposition? Motion carries. Mr. David Wayne Nezat. If I can,
Move to,
well, let me tell you what, he has resigned from this position due to health reasons, and I'm going to recommend Mr. Bucky LaBeouf to replace him on that board, and I need a motion for that.
So moved.
And a motion and a second to appoint Bucky LaBeouf to replace Mr. David Nezat, and he does have serious medical problems. And last but not least, Mr. Jeffrey W. Coates.
Move to reappoint
Mr. Coates.
We have a motion by Mr. Guidry and a second to reappoint Mr. Coates. Is there any discussion? Any opposition? Motion carries. Now, point of person, Mr. Landry. President Landry.
Thank you, Chairman Andrew Pond. Just before we leave tonight, I just want to make you all aware and that you keep in your prayers Kevin, Mr. White's wife, Casey, got hospitalized last night. She has been released and is at home, but just ask that y'all keep her in your prayers. Thank you.
Any other discussion to come before the committee? If not, Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion second to adjourn. We stand adjourned.